Hey VC, just reporting on the status here of everything. Again, we got the new speakers going, the Totem Acoustic Forest signatures, the AudioQuest Rocket 33 cable in the back there, the new power cords, probably can't see them, but a couple upgraded power cords, and the preamp and the amp. And I think, for the first time in a long time, I have no desire to buy anything, really. Just completely, right now, just completely satisfied with the way everything's sounding. It's just really just sounding nice, and every day I come home, put this on, and everything's great. One thing I wanted to point out is the B&W subwoofer right here. It looks like it might be in an odd place. You might think, oh, usually you put a subwoofer in a corner or something. You might have seen some videos about this, but I think you should really experiment with this, trying to find the best place in the room for the bass, for the subwoofer. I kind of went with the rule of thirds sort of rule. It's almost, I don't know if you can see the back wall, but it's almost a third of the way into the room. And the speakers are very similar and not centered, but off to the side a little bit. And the subwoofer, I've finally gotten the subwoofer to completely disappear. I've got bass, I've got really great bass, goes deep, and I don't have, I don't know if it's these speakers or this combination, but the room nodes are not being nearly as activated as they were with the Martin Logans. Can't really say why that is, but it just is. I just don't really have a problem with it anymore. It's just amazing. So everything sounds really clear, and just top to bottom, just sounding great. So couldn't be happier right at the moment with this. And wanted to show you this to maybe you can experiment a little bit with the placement of your subwoofer. Maybe I have it turned down a little bit, just as, you don't want it too high. You do want it to, just not even be there. And this is just like that. I don't even notice it. I don't notice where it is. I have it cut over pretty low, like 40 hertz. And this one goes pretty deep, like a little under 20. So, that's probably a good idea to have a decent sub like that. But it can be done. Took a lot of playing around with, but I'm really happy with this placement in this room. Okay, let's get to records, because I have quite a few of them. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through all of them today, but we'll try. Gentle Giant. This is called Motive, but really it's the same thing as Acquiring the Taste. I believe is their second album. This is, on Mercury. I think it's a German pressing. Yeah, West Germany. Yeah. So it's completely different than, in terms of packaging, than I think the original album was. But, when I took a look at it, because I've been looking for that album, you can't find that anywhere. Very difficult to find. And I noticed this had the same track list, so I ended up buying it. And really interesting, I don't think they quite settled on their sound yet. I don't want to say it's more experimental, but it seems like they were getting close. You could definitely tell it's Gentle Giant, but they hadn't gone like full prog renaissance yet. It's there, and the sound is coming together. But this is kind of a really interesting, maybe transitional work, but it's really good. Found this one, which is I'm going to guess, is that a 70s label? the Blue Note label. Liberty Records. I think that's going to put it in the 70s. I'm not positive, but anyway, this is nice. This is I only got another Stanley Turrentine record I have is which one is it? The Three Sounds, is that the one? Very mellow, late night music. This one's a little more lively, but very good and sounding decent. I haven't got too far into this. David Allen from Gong, wacky stuff. Can't say if I talked about this or not. I felt like I did, but maybe I didn't. So I can't really say much about this. Just that it's extremely weird and whimsical. If that's your speed, I want to check out David Allen. Jeez, I could have sworn I talked about this too. Maybe I've been through some of these records. Let me skip some of these. Spacey, Tangerine Dream, Rubicon. John Evangelos, I feel like I talked about that. This is the new one. I haven't even opened the shrink totally yet. Miles and Coltrane at what was it? Danish Radio? Yeah, Danish Radio, 1960, I believe. And it's a nice recording. It's mono, but it's a nice recording. It sounds pretty decent. And I listened to side one so far, and it was pretty great stuff. Like Coltrane goes nuts on. I think it was So What that I was listening to. That of course it's totally different when he did it live, like 100 times faster and everything. And Coltrane is in full 1960 way out Coltrane. You know, he's stretching out at that point. And apparently he had to be convinced to go on this tour because he was coming into his own as a solo artist and was pretty busy, but Miles talked him into doing this. So I'll get to side two. We'll see how that goes. But so far, so good. Recommended. I just picked this up yesterday. One I'd never heard before. Traffic, the album after, what is it? Low Spark, and then it's Shoot Out the Fantasy Factory? Is that the name of it? And then this one. And this is interesting. It's good. It's you know, it's not as strong as the other Traffic. I mean, I love Traffic, and some of the records are just amazing. This is just good. It's, you know, kind of loose. There's songs, but not a huge amount of direction to it. You know, but Winwood's taking over a little more of his melodic sense is coming in on some of these that you'd hear later in his career. But you know, I love Traffic, and this is still pretty decent. This was an interesting one. Sorry, I have something in my eye as I'm talking. Claudine Longet, I think her name is. Colors, it's called, on A&M. And it's a bunch of covers from the 60s. And she's sort of got this like heavy French accent. And it's just beautiful orchestration, but really well done arrangements. And just her voiceover, you know, you going to Scarborough Fair? Hilarious, you know, kind of just prime 60s pop with like a, you know, the arrangements are just adventurous enough to make it really interesting. She's got a nice voice, nice quiet voice, and the song selection's great. Both Sides Now, you know, Color, she does a couple Donovan song, Colors, Catch the Wind, as I said, Scarborough Fair. I think It's Gonna Rain Today, the great Randy Newman song. Let It Be Me. So this, I really recommend this. I like this a lot. This one I've been looking for forever. Dr. John's in the Right Place. This is crazy. Look at this stuff. You know, CD can't do this. And this is just fantastic. I love the early Dr. John. In fact, while I'm at it, I got another one here. Dr. John, the Night Tripper Remedies. This is more of the earlier kind of voodoo, swampy, but not quite as swampy and voodoo as the first record, but still pretty decent, very good. This he's going into a sort of a different phase, sort of a, you know, up-tempo, funky, New Orleans kind of thing. And it's got Right Place, Wrong Time, and Same Old, and Such a Night, which are all. The whole album is just great. This is just a great album that everyone should have. Another Blue Note, Kenny Dorham, Whistle Stop, excellent. If you don't have it, now this is probably, I'm going to date this to the late '60s, which probably would make it a reissue on Liberty Records. If I had to guess, you know, 67, 68. But it's a really good album. And sounds pretty neat. Now it says on here, I don't know what this means, electronically re-recorded to simulate stereo. When I listen to this, that sometimes that's really obvious when they electronically reprocess stuff. Sounds terrible, unbearable. This I don't recall being like this. I do remember it being a little hot and not very dynamic. You know, not the best sounding Blue Note I'd heard. But, and I see that now, I'm going to have to go back and listen to this a little closer. But the music is great. Ella Rodgers and Hart songbook, Ella Fitzgerald. It's a double album, and just a, you know, tremendous selection of Rodgers and Hart songs. You know, a bunch of them you already know. So, and she's one of the great singers. You could just put this on and, you know, chill. It's great. This is Renaissance. I think it's the first Renaissance album. Annie Haslam. Capitol. I think that's Capitol, right? And I listened to it once. You know, I have a couple of the other ones. The one with Mother Rush on it, and Scheherazade is. I really like those. This was okay. I'll have to give it a little more listen, but again, maybe not quite there, but we'll give it another listen. This was pretty cool. Mott the Hoople's Brain Capers. Again, I hit upon like a record store in Rochester, New York. I'm not going to remember the name right now because I'm old and my brain is like Swiss cheese. But I'd love to be able to recommend it because it was great. But I found like so many of these things that I've been looking for. You know, that Gentle Giant record, this, you know, everything I was looking for, you know, they had. And this is a rocky Mott the Hoople album. But I'm really getting into Mott the Hoople a lot, and this one was just really great. This is a new one on Jazz Classics, a new reissue. Stan Getz, Charlie Bird's Jazz Samba. Sort of, I think they're right before the Getz Gilberto collaboration. This is in the same vein. So really nice stuff. Sounds decent. It's a almost certainly a high-res transfer. So, very good. Not transportingly good in terms of sound. Here's a weird one. Lothar and the Hand People. I don't know. Kind of dug this. And it's one of those things where, you just see the name and you're like, well, I got to get that. Just got to get it. And this is a reissue. So it says this is a bridge version. Maybe you know what's going on about this. I don't. But I kind of dug it. Late 60s, psych. It was just really good. Not great, but, nice to have. It's a classical sampler I got, which is sort of an audiophile recording. Very nice. Good selection of music. Nothing to write home about. This was a great get. I had the, this is one of my favorite Miles albums, Feliz de Kilimanjaro. Finally found a 2i stereo version of this. I had the 70s reissue. This sounds a little bit better. Although that was pretty damn decent too. But this is just a great album. You haven't dug into the late quintet, 60s quintet stuff, ESP, Sorcerer, and this. You have to. And this one is probably my favorite of the bunch. I saw this in, I don't know if it was Stereophile or somewhere. I had the reissue of this. And it sounded really interesting. So, just Willie doing a bunch of, Willie Nelson doing a bunch of, songbook, Great American Songbook songs. Stardust, what else is on here? George on My Mind, Blue Skies, All of Me, Unchained Melody, September Song. Wonderful sounding recording. They were right to reissue this in an audiophile version, but this version sounds pretty great to begin with. And the songs are great, and he just doesn't know. His guitar sounds fabulous on here. What's the name of his guitar? I don't know the name of his guitar, whatever that old thing that he plays, that old classical guitar. It's just wonderful. So this is, you think this might be up your alley. I thought this was great. It's a little Stravinsky. I hadn't had this Pulcinella Suite. I don't think I'd ever even heard of it. Heard it. Surprisingly. And it's a very, traditional sounding piece for Stravinsky. It was really very interesting. It was just really a full-on classical piece, almost. Also with the Symphony of Three movements. So this is really good. This was terrific. I had seen this Tal Farlow. Tal, his first album, I think. And mono. This is a reissue, obviously. This is from the 50s. I had seen, my friend and I were big guitar obsessives when we were kids, or teenagers. And in the 80s on PBS they had a special about Tal Farlow. And we must have watched this thing 100 times because he was so great, on jazz guitar, we were just blown away. And they had some other great people on there. Jeez, I want to remember their names. Guy who died very young. Oh, it's Kenny something. No. Boy, darn it, I'm going to forget his name, but he was Lenny Brow, maybe? Playing this sort of tapping thing. Unbelievable. I got to find this special. It's probably on YouTube somewhere. But it's well worth seeking out. Anyway, this is great. Just really good guitar jazz. Just very credibly done. And I just really, if you like guitar jazz, I can't recommend this highly enough. Chick Corea, I got a couple Chick Corea albums. Return to Forever stuff. Decent. This isn't my favorite genre, sort of fusion. But obviously playing is great, and these sounded pretty decent. But I haven't got too far into them, so can't talk about them too much. This is one of the new Blue Notes. You know, one of the new high-res 75-year reissues. Joe Henderson, page 1. It's just a great album, and these all sound pretty damn good. So, you know, obviously anyone you see, get. I needed a newer version of this, because mine was beat up. My favorite movie, and of course an amazing soundtrack. So, not much more you can say about that. This is another one I never had. I was surprised to find I never had. I thought I had it, but I didn't. With that quintet, and then they throw on Chick Corea and Dave Holland for side 2, where he starts to explore the electronic instruments a little bit, right before In a Silent Way, where he goes full on, and then Bitches Brew, of course. So this is a transitional album, definitely, but still pretty good. I mean, it's not one of, you know, the most well regarded, but he didn't make, in that period, he didn't really make any bad music at all. Just didn't. So this is still pretty damn good. Another one of the Blue Notes, Lee Morgan Cornbread. Not much you can say about this. Great. Only listened to it a couple times yet, but lovely Morgan, and this one is great, like the other ones. And this is not on Blue Note. This is Grant Green's Nigeria, Wax Time. And these are very nice too. These are nice thick vinyl, nice liner notes. So I do like these reissues. Again, probably high res, but they're well done. So surprisingly, I got through all these records. I don't know how, but anyway, this is ridiculous. I got so much to listen to. I'm trying to catch up with it all, but I can't stop buying, which is, you know, a sickness. So anyway, that's it for now, and hopefully talk to you soon.